now we've gone through pretty much the rods and the reels that we need for brimming. The next is the difficult part, lures. A lot of people I speak to, you know, I get the same reaction pretty much when they know that, look, it's been about 7 years really since I've actually used a bait when it comes to fishing. I find my lures are just as effective, if not more effective than bait fishing. But this is something that you learn over time. You learn how to use them, you learn how to make them move through the water. And every lure has a different action, regardless of whether you're using a shallow diver or a deep diver, or a surface popper or a surface walker, or a sinking popper, compared to a floating popper. 1,000 different variations of lures, 1,000 different lures, and when you walk into a tackle store it can be very, very confusing. One of my next episodes that I'll be doing is actually taking you into a tackle store and trying to get rid of all the rubbish that people are trying to pound onto you, selling you different lures. These guys are really, end of the day, your average tackle store, they want to get business. They want to sell you things. And fishermen as a whole, pretty much impulse buyers. They'll walk in and say, geez, that lure looks good. They'll buy it and it'll sit in their tackle box for the next 20 years. That's not what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to do here is show you what type of lures work for bream, what scenarios you can use those lures, and really, end of the day, help you catch a couple of bream. So what we'll do is we'll start out just with a couple of divers. You want to always try to transport your lures in the best possible way. I've seen a lot of guys throw them all inside a bag, or throw them all inside one container, and you end up with a complete mess when it's time to pull that lure out, and that lure is, stuck onto other lures, and you're sitting there trying to untangle them. It's a nightmare. One of the nicest lures going around is an Eco Gear. The Eco Gear range of lures are just fantastic. Very rarely do you buy an Eco Gear lure that needs to be tuned. What I mean by tuning is a lot of times you will buy a lure, cast that into the water, and when you're reeling that lure back, you'll find that it's going off to the right all the time, going off to the left, spinning on its way up. There's a few reasons for the spinning, by the way. Number one is how you tie that lure on. Now, if you do a direct tie knot to a lure, it never works. What you need is a loop knot, which allows, so it's actually not directly tied to this, it's almost a loop holding the front of the lure. And the reason being is you allow that lure to do what it needs to do, what it's designed to do. That there, a little bit difficult to see because I'm a little bit far away, but that is an Eco Gear, that's an MX48. Now, the MX48 range of lures are a shallow diver. They probably don't go much deeper than a metre when you're bringing it in. It is a sinking lure, the MX48, but it's a very, very, very slow sinker. So what will happen is you will throw it in around a lease, around a snag, even over sand flats for whiting. Flathead will take it, anything will take it. But a lure like that, again, come in variation of colours. You can see I've got that in gold, I've got it in a green, which sort of symbolises a bait fish of types, maybe a little white bait or what have you. Great lure for getting into shallow areas where below that shallow area might be a snag. You don't want to get a deep diver in there because you're just going to hook that snag and lose your lure. So you've got your shallow divers there. On the same note, Strike Pro make a really nice imitation prawn lure. Again, it's a shallow diver. Again, it'll probably get down to about a metre with that. But you want to do it, you never want to just wind a lure into. Very rarely do you see a bream take a moving lure. It's just one of those things. Bream are opportunistic. They're not really on the hunting side of your fish species. What they do tend to do is wait for something to come by, stop or look injured, and they'll hit it then. Once it stops, they normally attack a lure. And a lot of times you'll find with a floating lure such as this, the little Strike Pro here, you'll bring that down under a lease or bring that down under a snag, stop, and just as that thing's floating back up again, that lure's coming back to the surface, the bream are going to hit that. So they're your shallow range of divers, and what you're going to be using it for pretty much when you don't want to get snagged, or you use ultra shallow water, or around, like I said, leases and snags. You can use your shallow range of divers. The next set of divers that you'll be looking at, if I can find them in amongst the 1,000 lures that I've got sitting here, are your deeper divers. Again, these don't go overly deep. You're only looking at around about a 2 metre depth on them. However, 2 metres in and amongst snags, leases, mangroves is a big depth. Now this, again, we're looking at the Eco Gear range of lures. These are pretty well known amongst bream fishers. These are the XX40 range. Again, they come in various colours and designs. You can pretty much just go through and choose whichever ones you like. They're around about the $20 range, which isn't cheap in anybody's book. But again, like I said, the moment you grab them off the shelf, you can tie these on, start fishing with them, no need for tuning, and you've got a very good chance of picking something up. Bream do also really like, and I don't know why this is, but they do like orange bottoms on their lures. So they do tend to strike an orange stripe on the bottom of your lure. I do like to choose my lures either to be an orangey colour or to have some type of orange on the bottom of that lure. Very effective when it comes to breaming. On the same note, I mean, there's 1,000 different colours that you can get. You've got your reds. People say, well, what lure do I use? There's an old saying when it comes down to lure fishing or even bait fishing, it's called match the hatch. You pretty much want to imitate what the bream are eating at that time. Around leases and mangroves, around structure like that, a lot of times they will be eating shellfish, so they'll be going, if you do ever open up a bream, you'll see crushed oyster shell, pippy shells, little clam shells, all inside their stomach. Now, pretty much you're looking at, they're feeding on that. However, they will take a bait, a lure as well, because like I said, they're opportunistic. It's easy prey for them rather than sitting there crunching through stuff, try to get their food. Can present them with a lure right in front of their face. So the medium divers, which are these, up to around about a 2 metre, about 1.5 to 2 metre depth. Again, you're using them in the same way you're going to be using the shallow divers, but with deeper waters. Now, the techniques you want to use when it comes down to diving lures, I'll be taking you guys out on my inflatable soon, just to give you guys a rundown on how it actually works. It's a stop-start, because the last thing you want to do is actually put a lure in front of a bream's face and then whip it out away from it as quick as you can. And I see a lot of people who are new to bream fishing or new to lure fishing in general do that. They'll throw a lure in the water and they will just wind that lure back in. Now all you're doing is getting a bream to go, hey, what's that? And it's gone. We want to give them the opportunity to hit that lure. So that lure, we want to take it, we want to run it down, stop, bang, that's where they'll hit it. Even little sudden jerks, making that lure look like an injured bait fish, sudden jerk, sudden jerk, sudden jerk, sudden jerk. Again, very, very effective when it comes to diving lures. Just because a lure dives doesn't mean you have to dive it. Sometimes you can just take that and be dropping it a couple of mil off the surface. Almost running it like a popper at times, but it just dives down probably 100 mil, 100 mil, 100 mil. And by doing that, you're giving the bream time to see it, analyse exactly what they're seeing, and then come over, and attack it. After that, we can move over to something like a walking lure. We've got a few different sizes in here, not all for breaming. I like to separate all my stuff into different types of lures, so I'm not searching for any, I'm not looking for the lure I want. what I've got here is a new range from Atomic. Beautiful little walking lures. Sorry about that. Beautiful little range of walking lures. Now what a walker does is it simulates an injured bait fish on the surface. The technique used in using a walking lure is actually moving your rod. It's a constant little tap on your rod as you wind. Again, bream won't hit that on the move. Very rarely. You might get a bubble, you might get a swirl behind it as you're doing that, but 9 times out of 10 they're going to come up and investigate that once it's stopped. So this will sit on the surface at all times. You'll move it along the surface, which makes it actually walk side to side. This is something over time you get to learn how to do, and it comes down to practice. Any type of lure fishing comes down to practice. But again, just tap that along, and once that thing stops, I tend to like to use a 4-second rule on it. I'll throw it in, I'll let it hit the water. I'll pop it for 2 meters, or even just under, around 2 meters. Give it a 4-second stop. Again, pop it for around about a meter. 4-second stop. A meter, 4-second stop. A meter, 4-second stop, till you've got it all the way back at you. Just because the lure is right up back to your boat, back to your kayak, wherever you may be, doesn't mean a bream is not going to hit that.